テレ東BIZ。トランプ政権で安全保障政策担当の大統領補佐官を2021年まで務めたロバート・オブライエン氏。3月、台湾を訪れ、蔡英文総統と会談しました。今回、オブライエン氏がテレビ東京の単独インタビューに応じました。
We know that you just recently returned from Taiwan, from trip to Taiwan. What was the purpose of your visit, and what message did you bring to President Tsai Ing-wen?
So we came as a delegation for the Global Taiwan Institute. It was a bipartisan delegation made up of former ambassadors, senior government officials, and military officers. And we wanted to come listen to what the Taiwanese had to say, because we're working on a report that will be released this summer that will make recommendations to the current administration and to Congress on how to strengthen the bilateral relationship between the U.S. and Taiwan, which we believe is very important right now because Taiwan is under threat from the PRC and the Communist Party of China. President Xi has been making very serious threats against China, against Taiwan, the Republic of China, and we need to figure out how to deter China from doing to Taiwan what Russia has done to Ukraine.
What was the reaction from President Tsai to your remarks?
So we had a very warm welcome in Taiwan. The whole delegation was well received. President Tsai spent a lot of time with us, both in bilateral meetings, and then she hosted a nice dinner for us at her home. And so we had a lot of time to talk with her. And what we learned from her and from the Taiwanese people, and this is, I think, my third visit to Taiwan, is that the people there want peace. They want to be able to go about their business and have individual liberty and the rule of law and enjoy their lives. And they don't want to be under threat from Chinese invasion. And they need friends to help us. They need Japan. They need America. They need Australia. They need the European countries to be behind them to deter China from invading the way that Russia invaded Ukraine.
What do you think is President Tsai's biggest concern right now? And what kind of help does she want from the U.S.? Do you think it's necessary for the U.S. to provide further assistance to Taiwan?
Well, the Taiwanese have ordered and paid for $21 billion in arms and equipment from the United States, and it hasn't yet been delivered. And that's a problem because our industrial base in defense is a bit weak and a bit fragile. And also some of those goods are going to Ukraine right now to help them fight the Russians. So we need to figure out a way in America to deliver the weapons that Taiwan has ordered and that Taiwan's paid for. This isn't foreign aid, this is fulfilling orders that have been paid for. The Taiwanese are doing very well economically and they can afford the weapons, but we need to deliver them. The other thing they need from their democratic allies is they need support. The Chinese are engaged in disinformation and propaganda using things like TikTok and social media and messages from threats from the party Congress. And so they need support from their democratic allies. And Taiwan's been isolated for many years. And so they need Japan to step up and America to step up and Europe to step up to show that they're people that are like-minded, that share their values, believe in a democratic Taiwan.
You mentioned in Taiwan that Taiwanese should be firearm trained, and this will be a massive deterrent. Do you think it's a viable plan, and why?
Well, I do think so. We're seeing this in Eastern Europe now with Poland and the Baltic states, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. People realize that if everyone can handle a gun, a firearm, that's a big deterrent to Russia invading, because if there are 1 million or 2 million Poles that have AK-47s, and every Russian patrol that comes through, even if they are successful in the initial invasion, but as they patrol through towns, if they know behind every door there's someone with a gun ready to shoot them, to defend their home, to prevent being raped, to prevent their home from being looted, that's a real deterrent. And so I think it could happen in Taiwan. I understand they've got a gun culture that's very different than America, but people can be trained now on how to use the firearms. Those firearms can be held in a government armory, and then in the event of a war or a threatened war, they could then be distributed to the people so that they're ready to repel the invaders when they come in.
Speaker McCarthy has questioned the U.S. aid to Ukraine and recently declined President Zelensky's invitation to visit Kiev. Do you think Speaker McCarthy would show more support to Taiwan than to Ukraine? If yes, what kind of support will be will he be able to provide for Taiwan?
Well, I think Speaker McCarthy has been very supportive of Ukraine. But what he did say is that Ukraine can't have a blank check. And no country should get a blank check. We need to make sure that American taxpayer dollars are spent wisely. And I think what Speaker McCarthy believes, and most of the members of the Republican members of the House, I was up on the Hill yesterday meeting with them, is they want to make sure that American aid goes to weapons and that the Europeans can pay for reconstruction aid and the Europeans can pay the pensions and salaries of teachers and government officials. But America should be the arsenal of democracy. And we should be sending them weapons, and we need to make sure that the weapons the Ukrainians get don't fall into Russian hands or aren't sold in the black market. And I think those are reasonable requests from Speaker McCarthy. So I think he's been very supportive of Ukraine, and he's been especially supportive of Taiwan. Republicans have signed off on the big arms sales to Taiwan, and I think we want to get those arms delivered to Taiwan. And I think Speaker McCarthy will make that point to Tsai Ing-wen, President Tsai, that we want to get those weapons to them, and that the American people are prepared to stand by the people of Taiwan as we defend our democracies.
The Biden administration has taken a tough stance on China, while it's also considering sending Treasury Yellen and Commerce Secretary Raimondo to China for a visit. What do you think makes sense of these mixed signals?